We're ready.
I won't play the blues now. Well, it's about me. It's always about me anyway. That's what blues singers are all about. They're all about me.
Well, I first heard Dutch play at Frank Trainer's folk club in, I think it was like late 1966 or early 67.
Yes.
And at that stage I was playing electric guitar in electric bands, and we went along, and lo and behold, they didn't even have a PA. So the Dutch was up there with an acoustic guitar, and everyone had to shut up and listen.
Yeah.
And it was great because he was playing all this intricate sort of Big Bill Broonsy, Blind Blakes type finger picking. You know, and I hadn't really come across many people that did that. And Dutch was just really great at it. And the other thing that he had that ability to play with his guitar almost slightly out of tune, like a lot of the real blues guys do. And there's just I can't do it. If I'm not in tune, I sound absolutely dreadful to myself.
Yeah.
But some people can play out of tune and be great.
So is that a fine art in the industry, to play out of tune and sound great?
Oh yeah, it is. But you know, a lot of Black American people are able to do that. It's something to do with the tonality of the major third not being quite right. It sounds great in blues music. You know? Yeah, so that was about my first experience with Dutch in that sort of period of time, and I sort of got to know him, you know, over a period of, well, since then till when he died. But
yeah. And you had the privilege of actually joining him or backing him on his first album, his first self-titled album. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, that was in about 1972, I think, 72 or 73.
Yeah, 72, yeah.
It was Barry Sullivan, Barry Harvey, and myself, and it was produced by Brian Cadd. I can't remember who played keyboard, whether it was Mel Logan or whether it was Brian himself. But anyway, yeah, we recorded Dutch's first album with it at Armstrong Studios.
Yeah, what was the setup there?
I think it was an 8-track at the time. 8-track that. It may have been 16. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I liked the album. I thought it was great. I was listening to it the other day. I thought it was really good. Dutch always swore that he hated it. He always swore that it wasn't authentic enough. You know, we weren't black enough or something. You know.
Yeah. Well, how did that go then? I mean, on the one hand, you had the very traditionalists like the Dutchman, and you guys who probably had a bit of more of a rockier influence in your sound.
Yeah, well.
So how did that work out?
Well, we'd sort of come through the whole psychedelic stuff too.
That's right.
So our interpretation of blues was a lot sort of more out there than maybe what Dutch wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But all the same, I thought it was a great album, and
Was there any friction because of that during the recording process?
I really don't remember. I seem to remember it all went pretty smoothly.
Yeah. So Dutch was fine to work with under those circumstances.
Oh yeah. You know, Dutch was often cantankerous and stuff like that, but most of it was just show. You know, I got to like his sort of his belligerent attitude at times.
Yeah.
It was sort of like it was Dutch. You got to know him, and you sort of expected him to be like that, and. You know, he was a great guy. You know, that's the whole thing. He was a great guy, and wonderful singer. Just a wonderful singer, and as I said, a great finger picker too. I remember once saying, "Oh, I've been working out Diddy Wah Diddy, Dutch. God, it's a hard thing to play." And he said, "No, it's not. It's easy." But anyway.
He certainly was a real character, wasn't he? I mean, there's a reason he became the #1 blues man in this country. And I think some of the things that you just mentioned, you know, all point in that direction.
Yeah, and look, you know, his sheer one-mindedness about it. You know, he played blues. That's what he did.
Yeah, that was his profession.
That was
nothing else.
That was his profession. Playing blues.
Yeah, he was self-taught, wasn't he?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. So how difficult is that when it comes to the blues? How difficult is it when it comes to the blues to sit down and teach yourself? Because you're really only learning off records, basically.
Yeah, well, that's how we did. That's what we did in those days. We learned off records. I can't say what it'd be like to teach. I mean, I taught myself guitar, but on the other hand, I'd done 8 years of classical piano.
Oh, okay.
So I had a certain amount of musical info there, but I still found it a challenge to learn guitar in the 60s because there wasn't really anything that taught you to play the sort of music we wanted to play.
Yeah.
And but then, you know, if you look at blues itself, most of the musicians in blues music are self-taught to some degree anyway. You know, they taught themselves, or you know. Thing of Dutch being self-taught, yeah, great, but he really learnt off Big Bill Broomsey and of course Brownie McGee.
Yes.
Brownie McGee was a big influence on Dutch, and because they were really good friends too. And so, you know, those sort of influences really shine through
in his playing,
in Dutch's playing. I think, you know,
without a doubt. How important do you think it is to have somebody like Brownie tutor you?
Oh, well, I'd imagine it would have been incredibly important to him, because you know, when you look at that period of time that Brownie came through, and that there was, you know, Big Bill Broomsey, Brownie McGee, Lonnie Johnson. Well, to put it this way, there were a lot of blues guys, but there weren't a lot of blues guys that had the influence that someone like Brownie had and someone like Big Bill Broomsey had. And Dutch really got he really picked the teeth out of that. He focused very much on that sort of stylistic thing, and he became incredibly good at it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, when you look at some of the great players in America, for instance, a lot of them had the tenor blues man to actually work with.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was Big Bill or you know, all those early guys, some of them actually spent time with them, quite a bit of time.
That's right. Yeah.
And that obviously is a
Well, I mean, I found that I had the same influence to some degree myself, because I got to tour Australia with people like Muddy Waters and Albert Collins, even though just as a support act. But nevertheless, the fact that you're associated with these guys and you're hanging around while they're rehearsing, or having a jam or whatever, the fact that you're there all the time, a certain amount of it all rubs off. And anyway, the Dutchman's, he certainly, he allowed a lot of people to get great, great sort of instruction from him himself, because Dutch would have influenced a lot of people with his playing and with his singing, and his just general blues personality.
Yeah. Well, over the years of knowing Dutch, you must have had some favourite Dutch moments. You got a couple for us?
Yeah. Well, one in particular was we were jamming at the end of a festival in New Zealand, and it was my turn to sing. So I said, "Oh, let's do this Muddy Waters song or something," and Dutch said to me, I don't know it, how does it go? And I said, "I don't worry about it, Dutch, just jam along." And he said, "I don't jam along with anybody. Everyone jams along with me." But the other time, later on after we left that festival, we spent a couple of hours at the Auckland airport and just sitting around having a beer in the bar, and I never realised until then, because we only ever talked music really, but how knowledgeable the Dutchman was on world affairs, on all sorts of things, trivia things. Oh, he had an amazing knowledge.
Yeah,
really.
Yes, he was a special man, wasn't he?
Yeah, very special man. Good on you, Dutch.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Tony.
Been a pleasure.
And, spinning around in this lovely Thunderbird.
I wrote this song. Hell, how did it go? Long years I've been trying to sing these blues. Yeah, 50 long years I've been trying to sing these blues. I got a heart full of love. In return I got nothing but a view.